Hi everyone, and welcome to my New York City urban garden. Things are starting to grow really fast now. We're heading towards the end of June, and with the warmer temperatures, it's kind of incredible to see how fast the garden starts growing with a bit more warmth and sunlight. So things are definitely a bit bigger if you watched the tour last week. So it's gonna kind of be cool to see. That's Bumblebee, I don't know if it's catching the camera. So let's get started. Let's take a look at the garden and see how everything is looking like. I am gardening in Queens, New York City. This is on 7B. I have a small front yard garden that I'm about to show you now, and also a pot garden that belongs to my neighbor, and I help taking care of it. This amaranth just grew so much. For the past week, you see the size of this leaf is almost like a spinach leaf. I think this is a good size to eat, still nice and tender. And I'm not gonna eat it yet. I want to let it bloom, but it's looking really nice. So this is supposed to be a red leaf and red flower stem, and then it's gonna be green with the red stem as well. And things on this green stalk here on the leaf planter are really starting to take off. This basil here, hopefully I showed that last week. You see the huge difference how much this has grown. I have this nice nasturtium in here and another one. Up here the beans are starting to take off here too, and the nasturtium there in the back died, I think because I planted right under this tomato that really took off and it's not getting really much sunlight, but it's okay. I'm just gonna plant something that's more shade tolerant in that pocket, probably a lettuce or something, so I can get use of that too. And I have this basil that I just pruned yesterday, so it's not looking as big, but it was looking really nice. I just came here and snapped all the tops off. And same with the Thai basil, some of them I picked. I'm gonna probably make pasta this week. The size I get them a little bit bigger, but I trim these off too. These tomatoes here are really doing fantastic. They're doing really good. There's a lot of little tomatoes on them. They're starting to look pretty good. Is there a little bush that's in there? I don't know, maybe I'm just hoping. And there's parsley back there that I spotted a caterpillar. Swallowtail. Oh, there she is. It's still there. Let me see if I can get it close so you guys can see it. Look at that. So it's gonna turn into a beautiful butterfly. I think it's a state butterfly of New Jersey. And usually loves parsley and dill and fennel. I only have parsley on my garden, so she's there. This side is almost all parsley, and the one down there is not doing very great, but if the caterpillar wants to go there and eat it, that would be amazing. So I'm gonna let her be and hopefully turn into a butterfly. I have the tomatoes here that also is starting to get a little bit big. Very cute. More tomatoes, little tomatoes here. The stuff on the bottom is really starting to take off, like this eggplant. It's really starting to grow. I have an eggplant on the corner over there that's already setting some fruit. I'm going to show that in a second. But before that, I'm going to show you guys some beans. These beautiful pink potted beans are almost to be size to be harvested. They need maybe another day. They grow really fast. Beans usually when they start growing, you have to pick them about every day. But they are very pretty. It's kind of looking purplish now with the morning light, but it's actually bright pink. It's really cool. There's some more in here. This one's on this side. They're a little farther behind. You can see there's little ones in there. And in this button here, there's some babies that are about to come. Under here, I planted a variety that I think was a pole bean, and I didn't know. So it's growing this stem and coming this way. Let's see if you can see the caterpillar better from this side. And there she is. Not that close. Can you see it? Anyways, I also have some empty pockets behind here. I kept harvesting. I had a lot of lettuce and bok choy and cold weather crops in here, and got too hot for them. I harvested to eat, and I haven't got a chance to come back here and plant something again. This is a little bit in the back, so it gets a bit shade, but there's still this one that's also here. Things are growing. I also have a few things in here that are growing, so it gets sun in the afternoon, so I have to just make some time. I want to plant probably some more herbs in here. This lemon balm is just really taking over. It's beautiful. It's looking really big. There's some more chives in here. Some pansies. I put some dahlias in here. I need to take this one out. I'm gonna get a little thick to cut because they're hard to then have this flower, so it keeps blooming. Here from this side, I have this cucumber. So I have this little yellow spots, but there it's actually really growing fast. I put this bed frame thing here so that I was on the side of the road, so it can become my trellis. I didn't want to buy another trellis or anything for the cucumber, so hopefully that will work well. There's some beans. Those are full beans. Those are the Chinese long beans, the red ones. I'm excited to see. I really enjoy the flavor of them. I have had the green ones before and I really enjoyed, so I'm excited to try the red ones. And a lot of peppers. The borage got really big here. It gets lots of bees. A big difference from last tour too. I took down my pea vines, so there's no more peas here. They used to live on this mesh. There's a tomato here. They're probably hard to show from the other side. So you see, this is a Cristolosa Genovese. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I'm gonna put down the screen. Put on the screen. There's some other tomatoes coming on that plant here too. I have a cauliflower. I'm gonna show a little close, and my sunflowers. They're looking really nice. Look how big they look. I have two big ones. This starting to set a nice bud. Well, this right next to you could be able to see the flower. Here's the tomatillo that I'm starting to tie up here in the back. It's really getting big, and I don't want it to shade these other things below here so much. So I'm going to take some time today to keep tying back and pulling to get the beds a little bit sunnier. Every time that I see a tomato flower, I'm tempted to just come and pollinate it. It's like every single time I pass by. Oh, here too. There's those are the tomatoes that I thought were not doing very well, but they are setting some fruit. It's a little hard to get with the frame here. So I'm happy about that. Those are going to be big yellow heirlooms with purple shoulders. You can see the purple a little bit on them already. And let's get back in. So this is the garlic that, I don't know, it's probably ready to, it's dying on the bottom and kind of to turn to the side. There's some scapes coming, so I need to move. I'm gonna wait to get a little bit bigger and then see if I should harvest them. Sorry, I was looking at the beginning below me. Oh, I see cucumber flowers. Look at all those yellow flowers down there. Sometimes it's good to change the perspective. And a lot of beans in this, in the green stalk too. Those are probably going to be harvested today. This is a good size for beans for us. If it gets too big, it's not a standard. We'll probably harvest this one today after the tour. And it has some peppers growing in this plant that's in a small pot, but this was overwintered, that's why they're so big already. But I have 3 that I'll harvest when they get a bit bigger. Harvest is still green, so this one can keep producing. Here I have more peppers. I already harvested some from this plant. I'm just producing some more. The mini bell peppers are full of peppers. I think this one is turning yellow. Oh, hey friend. Sunflowers opened this week too. I don't think I had the zinnias on the last store. They're finally starting to open. And the cauliflower, I said last week, you could barely see it. Look how much has grown already. Now it's not looking very great because it's hot, so it's starting to separate the heads too, but it's okay. We'll eat it and enjoy it anyways. We're also going to eat the leaves. Some more tomato flowers. Keep pollinating. This is I think it's a Cherokee purple. My tags. I lost my tags, some of them washed off. But back around here in the raised bed, I got some marigolds. They're also starting to bloom here. And some peppers back here. They're looking a little yellow too. Both of the peppers, along with this squash. And I have okra. Yay, finally I'm seeing some growth in there. There's sunflower that's gonna grow here. What's kind of missing a gap, I just planted that last week. I guess I direct seed, so it's grew really fast. But it was not here on the last garden tour. Neither was this okra. And here, this for the zucchini. It has some male flowers, but wait, do I see a female flower in here? Oh yes, look at this. We have a little baby zucchini and a female flower right here. Amazing, hasn't opened yet. So we're gonna have zucchini soon. So now make sure to pollinate that once it opens. And these zinnias are looking really big. Hopefully those are the queen lime. Queen lime is this variety here that I think it's just gorgeous. This plant here, when I planted it, was in the shade. This area of my garden gets shaded, so that's not anymore. It got shaded a little bit earlier in the season. Now it's getting nice and sunny, so things are finally starting to pick up and grow. But this zinnia was here too early, so it didn't have a super good head start, but it still put this beautiful blossom out, and I really like the way it looks. So pretty. So I'm really hoping that over here we have that same kind of zinnia too. Now this side is really crowded off the bed. I planted some carrots here earlier in the season too, so I kind of want to let them stay a little bit longer because I don't think they are ready yet. I wanted them to grow a little bigger, but it's starting to look a little out of control here. And the sweet chard, which if you guys remember, I keep saying they were getting eaten by leaf miners. Well, it's finally looking like they're leaving it alone. I did come and take some out the other day, so I have some holes in these leaves, but most of the other leaves are looking really nice. Let me check this one here. So let's see, I gotta harvest that soon, but it's looking so pretty in the garden. Actually funny, I have a hard time harvesting things sometimes. And this is some purple opal basil. That is definitely getting shaded, but hopefully when I take all these carrots out, it'll have some more space to grow. It's not looking bad, just growing slow. Okra there, kind of coming up too. More okra, a little bit of the shade, so let's see how it looks like next week. This nasturtium is finally starting to pick up and hiding down there, but it was looking a little bit sad too. I got a few cabbage moths. I just see it. You see this? So important that you come and check your leaves. There's a little green worm here. This is the white little cabbage moth lay eggs and then hatches into these guys, and they're pretty destructive. They can really eat things really fast, so I'm gonna take them out. Sorry about that, I don't really like touching them, but my other hand has a camera. So that's all this damage that they did on my kale. Not very fun, but it's a little cucumber here that got a little shaded for it, so I wanna kind of come up, see if you'll catch on these trailers. Can go the sunflower first, and hopefully it'll grow up, and once more exposed to the sun, it'll get bigger. I have a lot of eggplant already. You see below there? There, that one's kind of funny. It has a little. The camera's having a hard time focusing. There's more little ones here. I don't want to. I want the bees to stay there, so I don't want to mess up with this too much. Hey, little morning light came to the garden. Look how pretty that looks. In the morning when the sun touches the sunflowers. It's this very stomatia that's getting touched by the light now. There are two plants in here, three, but one really took off and it's in a tomato cage, so it's going really well. I have this kale, so I turned this. That's where the sun rises for us and then goes here and sets there. But then when it gets behind the building, you get kind of shade in the afternoon. So this means that this side here, the green stalk, it has a bit of shade. After then, the kale is doing really well. I think it was struggling a bit in a lot of sunlight, but now look at that. It's both of them. This kale has been producing really well for a while now. There's calendulas in there. So if you watch the past garden tours, you can see the progress, but that's quite impressive. It's looking really good. They started really to pick back up again. Put some potatoes below there, and you can see that's trying to reach for light, so it's coming this way, which is fine. I'm gonna have the heart to harvest those kales pretty soon, so I can replant this with some warm weather crops. I have started on the other side. I'm not going to turn the planter because it's a little bit heavy, but I'm going to turn around. Those planters do have wheel and they spin. It's just easier for me to turn around. So on this side here, I have these new things. They're planted from seeds and nasturtium. And mainly those peppers in here, they're all small. But that's what I was trying to do. And I planted a bunch of radishes and stuff here. I have a video on putting this together too, if you guys want to check it out to see what was in the first things. But now I have time to slowly switching to warm weather crops. So there's some little peppers that hopefully grow. And the carrots I direct sold when I assembled this, and they're now finally starting to pick up. So hopefully be ready to harvest at the same time. These carrots here are so pretty. And beans, you know, beans do really well in the green stalk, but apparently I did the pole bean thing too. I really can't remember what variety I put in there, but this one's looking really healthy. It's healthier than the one in the brown one. And there's Swiss chard underneath here, and some marjoram that is just growing super fast. Now marjoram is it's like oregano, but it's a bit more lemony and not as the leaf. It's more delicate. I love the smell of it, so good, and you can use it in cooking. I use it a lot in the kitchen actually. Try to use it fresh before it dries out, but it's okay, it dries well too. And in the middle here I have my tomatoes and some peppers on the side. And I'm not taking the suckers off of my cherry tomatoes this year, just to see how they will do. And they have lots of tomatoes. This one has lots of tomatoes inside already, so I'm very hopeful I can harvest them in this atomic crate. Now this plant's looking, I kind of did prune this one because the leaves were doing this. As you can see, it's starting to just not looking as healthy. See how the top is kind of curling too? It's hard to trim it off. But the fruit's looking okay. They're really big. This is look for cherry tomato, for grape tomato is huge. But this plant is not as big as all my other tomato plants, so it's okay. But hopefully, I can get to taste that, and it will get better and a little bit what the season goes along. There's a Roma tomato in that pot. The Puma peppers are looking really cool. I'll show that in a minute. This, I don't know what tomato variety this is looking really good too. As I mentioned in my previous videos, a lot of my tomato labels washed off. So I know they're cherries because you see how tiny those little flowers are. And now the others having some fruit here already. Cool. Looking, they all hit reach the top of the tomato cage. Here, Puma peppers. I actually just spotted. I was very excited to see this one's my favorite. Look at this foliage, it's gorgeous and it's growing so well. And I just spotted a little pepper down there. Look at that. They're supposed to turn yellow and orange, so I'm very excited to see that. And they'll have these purple shoulders. I mean, you can see the purple is a theme of my garden, so I'm very excited to see how my harvest will look like. My summer harvest. And shishitos, like loaded. This is in a small pot. It was overwintered too, but it's loaded with peppers. I'm gonna harvest probably today or tomorrow. Look how big the shishitos are. And there's more shishitos in that plant there. They're all in, this one's it's a very little, it's a 1 gallon pot only. So because it's producing so well, I think I'm going to repot this to bigger pots so they can keep producing. And this guy, look at this buena mulata. There's so many purple. Look at that. Lots and lots of purple peppers. So I'm excited. I love to eat peppers. Super excited for them. They will turn red. Oh, is this one turning? No, this is still alive. But they will turn red. And it'll probably be good for making hot sauce and eating, because purple is beautiful in there, but it'll probably look a little funny in food. Not for garnish, but if we make it like a hot sauce or salsa, it might, it get a little strange. But here are the potatoes. I didn't harvest some potatoes this week, which I was very excited about. But these ones are growing really nicely. So this one too, that's the one I harvested one plant from. One of the plants were dead. So the other ones are kind of looking at, maybe the other little ones will be ready to harvest soon. I also harvested some shallots. They're here to dry. They're curing. And I gotta harvest this lettuce because they're starting to bolt. So lots of stuff to harvest today after this, which is cool. And this kale pods, the purple kale that I was waiting to dry, is finally looking kind of yellow. So I think it's time for me to, actually I'm gonna do it today too, because I need to get, this has been here since last winter. So I kind of want to do this, replant this bottom in the soil and use it for the better use since I'm limited in space. Still have a lot of things going on, but hey, you know, as gardeners we always want more. So I'm gonna redo this planter. This was a purple kale. There's still some leaves in here, you can see. It's really pretty, but I left them here so I could collect seeds. I don't have any more seeds for them in the seed pack. Look at that. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take this whole plant out and I am going to hang it in here upside down, like I did. I don't know if I showed this, but I did that with the bok choy seeds and it worked well. So I'll hang in there and let it dry fully before I collect the seeds. And this is mostly it for this side of the garden. So everything is lush green, looking nice. Sun is starting to come up now. Some flowers. So this is my front yard and my little apartment in this city that I'm very happy to have a chance to have access to, so I can grow all of this food and I can't wait to start sharing more of my harvests. Today I'm going to harvest green beans, shishitos, and lettuce, so that's a good one already. A little bit later, but oh, it's shining. This to me is so cool. Okay, then I'm going to go to, we're gonna move on to, oh, one more thing I want to show. I also planted some okra in here because I was afraid the ones in there were getting shaded. So let's see, those are back up. And once I harvest those carrots and maybe the cauliflower actually, because I'm taking that cauliflower out soon, I might put some of them there because I really like okra. I'm from Brazil and I got this really, we eat a lot of okra when I'm from there in the Northeast. And I got two different cool varieties. This is an orange one and a pink one. It's a pink okinawan okra. This is an orange zinc okra. They're both from Becky Creek Seeds. And I'm excited to actually harvest them because I've never had a pink or orange okra before. And these guys here are zinnias. They're so nice in the sunlight. They're obviously started late, but I still want to give it a chance and try to grow. I even started some more eggplant here too. Different variety. This is long Japanese eggplant, but I'm excited for the zinnias too. They're supposed to be, it's a giant wine zinnia, and they'll probably just, I think there's still enough time, it's only June, they'll keep blooming to the late summer, but that's it. Good looking garden in the morning sun. I just got here and everything looks really good. So it's early in the morning, so there's only a little bit of sun in the front, but let me show you guys around. Look at this. This place has really changed since last garden tour. Things are really starting to pick up in here this time. I actually came here this weekend. I trimmed it and still went to flower, so I'm gonna come and cut it off a little bit more. I also got a chance to trim the grape leaves with a friend of mine. She helped me come out and cut, so at least we can get in there again. And my neighbor, he cut it down some of the leaves here on the side. Still got those onions in there. Sunflower in here is doing really good. Things are growing here on the side. It's starting to pick up. We're gonna put some corn in here. Remember we talked about the seeds last time. And there's the beans are growing faster now, and some of them are sending the tendrils. I'm gonna probably find the other ones there and guide it up in a second, but let's get going with the tour first. And this squash is huge, so it's much bigger than the one in my front yard, so it's kind of cool to see. There's an open male flower in there. It's really pretty. And there's another squash in there. But here's some tomatoes. This is one plant, guys, that's getting really taking over. I tried to prune and put a stake back to see if I could contain it, but it's kind of trying to fall back again, so I need to go and do it again. There's some more plants in the back. I came here and I pruned the tomatoes pretty heavily again this week 2 times, and I staked them up a little higher. Oh, I see more tomatoes here. Look how big this one is. Look at that. I didn't look at it. Look at this guy. Oh, so nice. Doing some more in there. Alright, finally, those are producing, which I'm very excited about. Some marigolds here, they're getting some flowers. Those tomatoes, I think this is a very busy area too. It's producing pretty good. Some more peppers. The beans here are starting to pick up, and the basil too. I also came and cut this basil this week. Sunflower there is looking really good. There's 2 more in the back. Yeah, 2 spotted tomato down there too. So I'm gonna keep tying these tomatoes up as if this was a trellis. Up here like a cattle panel trellis, like a lot of people do. Let's look at that. I don't know if I mentioned this time, but someone gave me a suggestion to put this twine around here. I can't remember if it was last cutting tool or 2 cutting tools ago. And it's looking pretty good, so it will help the beans to fill it up a little bit more. But I even put it a little bit, I tied up there, and then some there's already climbing. This bed here is also looking really great. Kale is still doing really good here. Look at that, so nice. Whoa, look at those beans. That one just passed and went all the way over there. Very nice. Take a crazy look at that guy. I don't see any flower buds yet, but I'm very excited to see this, how much growth. I'll just got this more tomatoes here, or beans. I have a couple okras, few okras that have sprouted some flowers, some more tomatoes that I put in here. They're so late. Look at, there's a squash male flower here. Now that squash is kind of lost in there. It's kind of wild. So this, if those were corns, those would be like a 3-sister garden. And they were planted very densely, lots of beans. That she told me, I've mentioned that on the last garden tour. Sometimes they don't bloom, they will grow very nicely, but she doesn't get blooms or any flowers on them. We're gonna try to put some fertilizer in here that has like some to help with the blooms and root strengths. I haven't had a chance to do it yet, but we'll try to do that soon. Can't promise by next week, but soon. This squash here kind of built a little trellis and it's catching. I have no idea what kind of squash this is. It was also my neighbor that planted. I forgot to ask her last time. Some peppers here. This pepper is really starting to take off. So the peppers in my front yard garden are already producing because most of them are overwintered. Potatoes back there, but this pepper is looking great. That pepper is looking great. This one's looking great. So that's cool. They're finally starting to pick up. This zinnia, it's really pretty. It's not as looking as well formed as the one. It's also a queen lime as the one that I showed you guys earlier on the tour. But it's okay. I have some sunflower in here, some squash. I think it's a honey nut. We're not really sure. We kind of put a lot of squash seeds in here because our seed bags got wet. I told this story about it in the previous garden tours too. We've got some corn and beans in here. There's some compost is going wild. So there's all kinds of sorts of things growing in the compost right now. There's a very healthy squash actually that's looking over there. They like squash is really heavy feeder, so I think being close to the compost is very good for them. There's beans that are growing there too. I'm gonna try to pull these tendrils to that side if that corn gets big enough. This is just wild. And then this squash is just so big. I wonder if it's the sun, because this was definitely after the ones I planted in the front yard. Obviously I have a lot of stuff going on there, but because this isn't by this very rustic compost pile that we do, those are my pea vines. See, they dried out already. They're getting super big. This one, it's beautiful. I love that color. It must be a bigger squash. I wish I could actually trace this up from here. Let's see what I can do with time. There's some more squash. There's a squash I said popping up in there from seeds from a big Halloween, a decorative pumpkin in there. Not pumpkin, but a different kind of squash, winter squash that we threw in there. I assume that's what it is in there. I showed that little babies. There were babies in the last videos. Now they're looking much bigger. I don't want all of them to grow, so I might leave those 2 back ones and might throw some more plant scraps below here. Some sunflowers are growing here in the back. This is regular green. Some volunteer tomatoes in the back too. This is like compost pile jungle, which I'm kind of impressed that they're doing well, but not getting burned. I know the squash does well, but even the beans and the tomatoes, and just let them be. It's gonna be wild there. We're gonna do a little experiment and learn, see how they're gonna do. These tomatoes here are producing. I think those are the orange bumblebees. I don't know if you told the story before. Oh, not the ones by my green stalk. Those might be Romas, which is could be a little big for there, but let's see how it turns out. But look, love to see them. They're big. Let me put my hand for reference. Alright, this will be it for today. I hope you guys have a great week, and next week we're traveling, so we will not take a look at the garden for a full week, but when I come back, first thing I'm going to do is a garden tour so we actually can see together how the garden looks without being attended for a full week. It can be either great, or I'm a little slightly concerned about pests because of the time of the year, but we shall see. Okay, thank you so much for watching this tour, and I'll see you next time.